If you'd like to know what you're watching, click here. And as always, link to the blog in the doobly-doo. Sometime last semester, some guy, we were talking about defense spending, and some guy told me some outrageous number, and the United States spends 90% of its annual budget on defense spending. And I decided to look it up. It's definitely not 90%. The percentage of the budget that the United States spend on its defense budget is about 23%. It's about $782 billion, which is a lot of money. This includes stuff like Homeland Security, counterterrorism, NASA is also in defense spending, pensions for veterans and Veterans Affairs and those types of things. It all goes into the defense spending. In fact, in terms of the gross amount of money spent, the U.S. accounts for about 2/3 of the entire world's military spending. Like, all money spent on militaries of any country is a certain amount of money, and roughly 2/3 of it is spent by America. That's not a small amount of money, and even though it's only a quarter of the budget, you think of all the things that the other 3/4 of the budget have to encompass in order for America to pay for all the things that it pays for. Medicare, Social Security, education, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Natural Resources. Barney Frank, Democratic congressman from Massachusetts, was quoted back in March of 2009. He said this: "If we do not make reductions approximating 25% of the military budget starting fairly soon," that's 25% of the 25%, "it will be impossible to continue to fund an adequate level of domestic activity even with a repeal of Bush's tax cuts for the very wealthy. American well-being is far more endangered by a proposal for substantial reductions in Medicare, Social Security, or other important domestic areas than it would be by canceling weapon systems that have no justification from any threat we are likely to face." These are pretty strong words from Barney Frank, who's kind of an out there guy anyway. But I think he's got a point. I think it's pretty safe to say that it doesn't do us any good to secure our interests abroad if we're crumbling from the inside. If we can't keep our roads intact, if we can't keep our education system intact. I think there's a lot of things that could be done with that money that are a lot more constructive than building weapons. Again, I welcome your comments. Leave them in the comment section or on Facebook or on the blog.